Look at us. We are so unprepared this evening. Having some
go.
technical difficulties, folks, but
Wait,
welcome to Thursday Night Live.
Nope.
I didn't even get a chance to cue it. I was trying to cue it. Look at this guy under here. Folks, welcome again to Soaring Profits. As always, one of your dynamic duo, Patrick. And look at this guy underneath.
And James, the often imitated but never improved upon.
Never improved. I like that. That's great. Mm-hmm. Well, folks, again, Thursday Night Live here with Soaring Profits. We're coming to you all the way from Newfoundland and Labrador.
Yes.
Canada. Yes. You're welcome.
Top of the day to you and all that
That's
stuff.
It.
Yeah.
Had some technical difficulties with our guests tonight. So tonight is just a couple handsome gentlemen.
Yeah. They should be on at any moment.
They should be here any moment.
We also have Mark Reed in the green room. He's having a drink and, relaxing, getting really used to the place.
Yeah.
Last time he was a little mischievous, so we have taken away all his technology. So we should have no interruptions today. I'm just saying it's going to be a great show. I know right now we don't have a guest, but I'm the guest. Today, we're going to talk about James.
Wow.
I think it's lovely.
Yeah.
That's why Pat is like so huge and I'm so small.
Because I'm doing the interviewing today.
Yes. And also because in reality, we just decided to let you guys know I am merely his puppet.
I think they've known that for a while.
They probably have. They have. Yeah. No. Like, so I did a big thing. Like, we've talked about it a little bit here and there. We went on the hounds and we talked about it. I spent a year running. And it all accumulated into an epic marathon run. And
where's the applause?
I'm not going to say.
Get the applause.
I'm not going to say. Oh, wait, that's not the applause.
Nailed it. It is so hard to find good production.
I'm not going to say that I came first. Like, I won't say that. But I did do it in 4:28, 4 hours, 28 minutes, 42K, which is, I think, 26 miles if you're American. And you know what? It was such an amazing time. I was great. I hit 22K. And at 22K, I was on top of the world because that was the longest race I'd ever done. I hit 30K and I was rethinking my whole world. I started thinking, why do people run? I have a car. What was I thinking?
You can't be stealing my jokes. Like, this might be about James's epic journey here tonight, but you can't be stealing my jokes. My joke is the car joke. That's all I got. That's all I got in the running world. I don't know anything else. All I know is that your nipples chafe.
They do.
Nothing else.
They do.
Terrible.
But no, and so literally, I was told by everyone who's done a marathon. I have a lot of friends that are like marathon runners. They run, like my friend Janelle does 100K is what she's doing over the course, I think, 2 days. I can't even fathom something like that. But so I did an epic run. I hit 30 though, and I was starting to think, you know what, I could just stop and start walking, and no one would care. There wouldn't be a soul. But then, I dug deep inside and I worked very hard for this goal and I wanted to complete it. So I just kept on pushing. And at the end of the day, I crossed the finish line. I got a beautiful gold medal. It's huge. It's in another room. And I finished in a record time, like not a record time, but in a time that is average.
That was the wildest sell. Or how exactly well did you do? Well, I did average. That was the wildest sell. Yeah. So, okay, so I'm going to toot James's horn a little bit here. So I've known James for a lot of years. And those of you that have kind of followed along as profiteers know the story of James's weight loss journey and this wellness stuff that he's been doing. The crap that I'm more the financial guy. I give him a hard time about being that dude all the time. But James was a guy who, getting up and going to the front door at one point was a bit of an effort for him. And now to be doing this. So this was the Toronto Marathon?
This was the Toronto Marathon, the Waterfront Marathon. Yeah, it's a huge marathon put on by some great people. The first 21K, I would say there wasn't an empty space of people cheering us on, telling us how great we were. It was pretty amazing. The next 21K, there was less people, but there were still people cheering and yelling and ringing bells, and it was pretty thrilling to. And I tell you, when I came across that finish line and they yelled out my name and said from Peterborough, Ontario, James Stephen, it was a highlight of my life. Like,
well, so okay, so you the business bets and buddies, the football crowd. One of your jokes that's been an ongoing thing for a while is that you are not a football guy. You're not a huge sports guy in general. So all of a sudden you start taking on this process of running a marathon, right? Like you're taking on this challenge. How do you get there?
So you have a team around you that lifts you up. So I run with a great group out of a store in Peterborough, which if you want to check it out, it's called Runner's Life Peterborough. It's not a chain. It is just a wonderful gentleman who sells wonderful running stuff, knows all there is to know about running, and he happens to be our coach, Dave Dame. And under him, he has amassed, I think 40 of us are in the club. And what we do is we run a couple times a week, and sometimes we go for dinner. Sometimes we do a lot of things, have a few drinks maybe here and there. And as we were running together, all these people started to encourage me and started telling me, hey, you know what? You're a really good runner. I'm like, nah, like I can barely get through 5K. Like a year ago, I was doing 5K and struggling just a year ago. Now I'm doing 42 and that's okay. So what it was is that I got the right group of people around me. And I say that all the time. It's about community. If you're feeling low, you're feeling alone, join a club. I don't care what the club is. Join quilting. Those people will lift your spirits and it'll give you something to look forward to. I go for the community. That's what I started with. I started with running because I wanted to go see my friends. And that's what brought me back and back and back. And then those runs got longer and longer and longer. And then nice job. See a half marathon. Sweet. And then it was 5K, then 10K, and then Mark, I can someone go check on him? I thought
back in your cage.
We took his phone. Go talk to,
production.
Yeah, Nunzio. Go get Nunzio in there.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, you just build upon it. And then because I was so overjoyed seeing these people, my people, running didn't even matter. Like you're running and you're chatting, joking around, and next thing you know, you're at 20K. It's unexplainable, but if you join a running club, you'll understand. It's something that I just love to do.
So you and I have talked about this at great length, right? And for me, I was an athlete growing up. I played pretty decently high level sports, and to me, running was punishment. Like it was awful.
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Like you drop the ball, you run.
Yes.
You miss the shot, you run. All these sorts of things. So like as an adult, like the other day when you're like, hey man, we're gonna go do this 5K, and I'm like, yeah. We're not doing this. So like the farthest I will run now is like to grab a beer. Like that's about as far as I'm going as far as my running days. But so you yourself, when you're a big motivation guy and you talk at great lengths about it, and you've really helped a lot of people. Like I know a lot of people that are, kind of positioned themselves in your running group as well. And they're like, this guy walks in the door, has never done this before, never achieved anything to this level. And you see him a year and a half later and he's running a marathon. You've kind of taken on this inspirational role within this group. And maybe there's a few people that, you've inspired along the way that will give you kind of the nod and give you that credit. We had your running coach on here in one of our first interviews with Soaring Profits. And this is a guy who's put a group of people together that's constantly out there trying and pushing, bettering themselves. How do you find your community? How do you build that and develop that into something that is like you started as a running group, but now you're going and grabbing dinners together, you're having drinks together, you've created a culture?
So much like Mike from the Hounds, the wonderful Mike Asherbrainer, first he brings them in because they're like-minded, they have something in common, and then he builds community. He builds community through activities. He builds community. So Dame has events. So the first Tuesday every month, we all run. We have like a very hard run. It's
I like to clean up on occasion.
You look pretty good.
Thanks, bud.
We'll talk about your haircut later. But so he's built in these things. We go to this Elmhurst Resort, which is a 32-kilometer run. We run down, we get to shower, we get to swim, we get to like have a great big breakfast. And it's just about community, getting along. And, you know, you might throw a message out there that you want to sell something. You might throw a message that you need some help. And they're there for you, much like the Hounds, you know, the Hounds of Business. And that's why it's so driving. And that's why everyone keeps on showing up. Like I'll show up and they'll ask me how my kids are. They'll ask me how, you know, the job's going. They'll ask me, they'll remember that you hurt yourself, and then it's okay, you know. And they give you advice all the time. And that's why the community is so important. It's actually phenomenal. But let's get back to your haircut now that I fully exposed myself as a marathon runner. I'm going to say that I'll sign autographs after this episode, right outside my door here. If you guys want to line up, orderly fashion, and I'll start signing. I'll sign anything. You want me to sign an arm? No problem. But yeah, no Pat. Pat has gone through several barbers.
So I didn't want to bring this up, but seeing as we are here, I am at that middle age haircut stage.
Yes.
And do you think that I can get? I am like 0 for 6 when it comes to haircuts of late, and I feel like this one here is kind of. Yeah, we're talking about haircuts, folks, on Thursday Night Live with Soaring Profits. But I feel like this one here has maybe made the grade. But we were 0 for 6. Like there was one that I looked like a tennis ball. I was so mad, right? I've always had kind of
just fur. Like, yeah, it wasn't even military. It was.
So the worst part about that one is that like a week before we found out my father had stage 4 cancer.
Oh,
right. So I get this haircut now. Sorry,
I can't laugh now.
Oh, you can laugh now because it's funny. So everyone that I know and love.
I know her.
Yeah, hey, Brenda.
Hey, that's our guest.
Hi, Brenda.
Hey, Brenda, if you're watching this, we sent you several links to your email. We'd love to have you.
Yep, anytime you want to jump in.
Anytime you want to jump in, we'd love to see you. It would be great.
We're talking haircuts.
So keep going with your haircut while I figure this out. Go.
So long story short, ended up getting a nice haircut yesterday night. I walk in and my daughter goes, ooh. Because now it's a joke. It doesn't matter what I do. I could have the best look in the world going, and she's like, that's what you went with? That's nice. Yeah, thanks. It was bad.
No word of a lie. His last haircut, he came in and he obviously played it up a little bit, but he looked like Mo from the Three Stooges. It was the worst. I love it because he's so handsome.
I've had better. Better.
I just love it because he's so handsome. That's all.
I tell you.
Well,
sorry, go ahead, Paul.
I was just gonna say that since we're having such a great time, I think we should thank some people.
I'd like to take this time to thank our friends, like Sia from Brilliant Bean Media, producer extraordinaire. If you need a producer, she's the best out there. Or Raquel Flores from Connection Corner. She has amazing guests every Saturday. Check her out. Mike Asherbrainer from the Hounds of Business Happy Hour. He is a LinkedIn guru. If you have a business on LinkedIn, check him out. He can help you. Lisa Browning from 1000 Trees, a great publisher. If you need help writing a book, check her out. Chris from Walking Tall, helping end the stigma of mental health and rising us all up together. Mike from Purple Tongue Hot Sauce. If you have wings, he has a sauce for that. Janice from Tausi. She is bringing comfort to the world with her Tausi pillow. Check it out. You will thank me. And the Mood Disorder Society of Canada, helping Canada to rise above and end the stigma of mental health.
Are you looking for something a little more FUN and less FUD when it comes to technology and cybersecurity in TV and media? Enjoy Checkpoint Real Talk.
Hey, and after that,
look
who's here.
Okay.
How are you guys?
Yay!
Yay.
Welcome,
Yes.
Brenda.
Hi.
The wonderful
Brenda, you're live. Welcome to it. We usually get a few
Amazing.
minutes to chat with our guests before we jump on, but we're
Yeah.
glad to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for asking me. It's lovely.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, Brenda, we've been balancing the show for a few minutes as you were making some comments there. This now becomes the Brenda Show. Congratulations. Welcome to Soaring Profits. And tell us a little bit about who you are, what you are, and what you do.
Oh, okay.
I'm so sorry, Brenda.
That's okay. I am a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for almost 30 years now. It's a long, long time. And I recently retired. I think it was January of this year. And I retired due to a fall that I had in my driveway. I ended up falling and hitting my head, ended up with a little bleed in my brain and mild traumatic brain injury. So after that, well, what do you do? I mean, do you retire? I'm really too young to do that. I have a son who is 25. I was married for 26 years, but since the brain injury, I'm not married anymore. And anyway, so I wrote a children's book. I'm doing a series of 12 of those. The first one is written. The second one is written and being illustrated. And the third one is about my niece who had a brain tumor a month after I had the fall. So she is doing well. So the third book will be about her with proceeds going to the local children's hospital here in my province.
So, Brenda, I don't mean to interrupt because we went kind of from my haircut and us jumping all over the place here, trying to kill some dead air while we first rolled in here. And then, your story is pretty stupendous. Like you've had quite an emotional roller coaster in what you're doing right now. And we've picked you up from one of our fantastic people with 1,000 Trees, Miss Lisa Browning. She introduced us to you. And is she your publisher for your first book that you've put to?
She is, yeah.
Perfect.
And she will be for the duration of the 12. Absolutely.
Lisa's fantastic.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great person. And again, somebody that if you're looking out there, folks that are out there, if you have somebody that is looking to tell their story, that's what she specializes in is taking the voice of another person and putting it out there. So Brenda, you're a nurse. First of all, it's got to be sort of a scary process for you when you slip and fall, all of the things that you've dealt with other people, but now you are the patient. You find yourself in this situation. Maybe all too well the things that are occurring around you and what these could mean and what that, how that could implicate the rest of your life. What emotionally do you have to deal with to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep moving through that process to where you are now in creating something very cool?
Well, you wear your big girl panties and you pull them up and you just move on with life. It's no good to let it get you down. You just keep on keeping on. That's all you can do. It's no good to sit and dwell because that only makes things worse. So my personality is to do what needs to be done. So, and that's
that sounds like a nursing mentality. Just get it done and away we go. That sounds amazing.
And away we go.
So my mom was a nurse. Pat's mom was a nurse. So we come from a line of nurses, and that's just it. When they faced a problem, there was no tears. I remember I pulled a burning pot of hot water on me one day, and my mom just reacted. There was no tears, no panic, no nothing. And the moms around commented that she had no heart. And she's like, would you rather he just burn? Like, I don't understand what the problem is. So I get what you're saying. So getting back to your fall and your injury, we had a wonderful guest called Amelia, and she is an advocate for concussions. Unfortunately, her son had a concussion. And what she talked about is all the different levels of concussion. Like, I wasn't aware of all the different levels. It's not just headaches and soreness. Like, there's personality change sometimes.
Absolutely.
And so what do you, like, she gave us a little bit explored a little bit of how you recover a bit for that. Do you mind talking a little bit about how, like, what a
No,
recovery for that is for you? Because it would have been a
absolutely.
long journey. You don't go from
Mhm.
I fell and hit my head and my life changed to I'm going to write a book. So
No.
we always talk about unveiling the stories of champions. Obviously, anyone who survives
Mm,
goes through something like that and
mm,
is able to write,
yeah.
because I imagine some motor skills disappeared.
Absolutely. So I fell on a Thursday afternoon, and in my driveway, there was no ice or anything like that. So I think the bleed may have occurred, and that was what caused the fall because there was no other reason for me to fall. So I was walking my dog, and that's the dog that's in the book actually. And when I awoke, I just thought, "Oh my God, where's my dog?" But my head was bleeding. My whole left side was bruised, and
Wow.
anyway, so I just walked into my house, stitched myself back up, called my boss and was like, "I'm not going to be in tomorrow. I'm not feeling really well." So, as a nurse, and I did work on a brain surgery unit in the past, so I just rested because I didn't really feel like I needed to go to the hospital. But the days went by, and over the weekend, I did drive myself to the emergency unit, and they said, "You have a concussion." There was no way for me to get a CAT scan at the time because the machine was not working. And
Welcome to
what happened?
Canadian healthcare, folks.
Yeah, yeah. So I ended up waiting. I think it was 10 weeks for the CAT scan, and the bleed was dried up by that point. So in the interim, a great family doctor ended up going to Newfoundland Balance and Dizziness Center, which is a center for concussions, and I had a lot of autonomic nervous system issues, not able to read. Everything is double from 2 feet in. So I have these special glasses that I have to wear. Um, I couldn't comprehend like a loony and a toonie. I couldn't add those two things together. I knew what they were in my hand, but I didn't know how to add it up. I couldn't even get groceries. It was very difficult, just going into the grocery store. I'm not an anxious person of any kind, but, going in there, I didn't know where anything was, and I couldn't comprehend why all of this was happening. Like, I just knew that I couldn't even fold a pair of socks together, so it was like you were made very childlike again, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, what in the name of goodness is going on, and how do I fix this?"
Yeah.
So I did a lot of work with the physiotherapist, and they were absolutely wonderful. My physiotherapist was Alex Lai. He was absolutely amazing. And later on, as time went on, I ended up seeing a psychologist for the comprehension issues, um, which took a while. I couldn't even put together a child's 25-piece puzzle. It took me 3 days. And you're talking someone who is, I think my last position was with infection control. So I had, my partner and myself had, like 80 personal care homes and over 2,000 clients. So we had a lot of responsibility for our jobs. There's only 4 people with those jobs in the whole province.
So
So
25 pieces should be accomplishable, is what you're saying.
absolutely
Wow.
in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But it took me 3 days, and I know on the last day I just took it and just like flicked it. I was like so frustrated,
Right.
and that was a thing that I found. I wasn't with enough patience for myself as I would have for a client, and that is I had to come to the realization that I needed to take it easy and be patient with myself and be kind to myself. But when you're used to doing everything on your own,
Yeah.
it folding a pair of socks, it's like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe I messed that up like 12 times," with the 12 pairs that were there. So
Right.
it's really unnerving and unbelievable.
Well, scary,
Yeah,
I imagine as well,
absolutely.
right? So you're
Yeah.
you're there, you still
Mhm.
feel in so many facets like you yourself or your own competent, capable self in these
Yeah,
moments, and then you try a task and it must feel like you're outside of your body looking down.
it does. It feels horrible, and nobody knows what you're going through because they're looking at you, you're talking fine. It's not like a broken arm, you can see it,
Yeah.
or an incision, a wound, or whatever. You can see those things, but your brain, you can't see it. Um, I did hit the frontal lobe, so with that was comprehension issues. There's personality changes a little,
Mhm.
like the F-bomb comes out when it's not supposed to, those types of things.
I
But
must have fell.
That's what it is. Well, Brenda, if you need to drop the F-bomb on Soaring
Okay,
Profits, we
okay,
do not
I'm
mind.
good.
We
It
are
has
equal
happened before.
opportunists.
Yeah, no, so like, yeah, like, so it is, so Amelia talked about personal relationships. I apparently cannot remember anything either, but that's just old age. Amelia talked about personal relationships, and because your personality kind of veers, one, because you become frustrated. So simple tasks become frustrating, which means that obviously you're a very patient person. All nurses are. You go from a patient person to maybe not a non-patient person. And when people ask you questions that you can't answer, I would struggle with that, and I may become upset, and I may, lash out a little bit. Did you notice that people around you not being understanding started to pull away, or do you think they closed in the gap? How did your community around you work?
My family were great and are great. They see the struggle, and they struggle with me struggling because they're not used to seeing me struggling. You're the head of the family. I'm the oldest daughter. So people, and I looked after all of my family. So they look and like they don't know what to do to help you. So they feel helpless, and that's not good either. But personality change, like you are not as tolerant as what you were prior. Things that were important aren't as important anymore.
Right.
Those types of things. Yeah, so some people pulled away, and some I pushed away.
Right.
I guess.
That's
Yeah.
really interesting, because I've made some changes in my life. I lost a lot of weight. I started becoming a motivator rather than someone who was a slug. And as I did that, because basically my personality changed, I went into I was spreading joy and love and trying to motivate other people to move forward and, start running, eat right, do all that. It ended
Joy
up
and love,
pushing
eh?
people.
That's what you're calling that.
That's what I call that. It started pushing people away because I don't know, like, just because I was so different. Some people were disappointed that I was so different because I wasn't doing the things I was doing before, and I couldn't be who I was for them before. Is that kind of like how you felt? Like
That
you
is,
couldn't be
yeah,
that pillar for everybody,
absolutely.
and then
That
you
is
found out,
exactly right.
and then you
Yeah.
find out that it wasn't a two-way street a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is exactly right.
Okay, so here we are. You can't count. You can't add toonies and loonies. You
No.
see double in everything.
That's money for our American folks.
Yeah.
I got to translate it from American into Canadian here.
Yeah.
Yeah, dollar bills.
Yeah.
You're frustrated with puzzles,
Mm,
and you used to be in a high energy, high stress job.
absolutely.
And now you sit down and you have to look at what's next. And you chose a book. And that's what I'm not connecting. You're seeing double.
Yeah.
How do you choose a book? Like, of all things, like there's so many other things that knitting, I don't know. But how do you go from I can't see like the lines to I'm going to write a book?
It's really bizarre. So I did a lot of walking after my head injury. I used to jog every day, and then I couldn't jog because, well, I wasn't jogging. I wasn't walking straight even. I was walking kind of slanted. So for safety reasons, I had to stop. So I was walking my dog, and I do a lot of walking by myself with the dog, and we were in the forest. So I just had the idea come to me, oh, I'm going to write a book about you, Monty. So I came home, and I said to my husband at the time, I'm going to write a kid's book. And he was like, what? because I never ever talked about that before.
Right.
So talk about personality changes.
Mhm.
So I couldn't actually write the words down. So I just took my cell phone and did voice notes and
Wow.
wrote the book in, a short amount of time. And I couldn't think of an ending. So I just gave myself a few minutes. I do a lot of meditation. So I just stopped for a little bit and did some breathing exercises. And in a couple of minutes, it just came. So I was like, "Oh, okay, I have the ending." So that was really great. And I also contacted a toy company. It's funny how all these things come into your hands once you start thinking of them. So I was just scrolling through Facebook, and then it came up like a toy company came up. A friend of mine introduced me to Lisa. That's how I was introduced to Lisa. And anyway, so I had a prototype made of Monty, which I have here, which is he's got a recordable device and a little
Oh,
paw where a little heart on his paw. That's where you pressed for the recordable device. He's weighted a little bit for the kids that have anxiety, so I'm hoping to get him, out into the market as well.
so sorry, I'm just going to pause you for a second. Okay, so I kind of know what you mean by weighted, but not everyone would know what you mean by weighted. So
Oh,
why
wait,
is it important that it's weighted for anxiety? How does that help?
a lot of like you hear tell of these weighted blankets
Yeah.
because it kind of feels like you're getting a hug. So they're really great for people with anxiety. A lot of people find them really, really helpful. And so I didn't want it to be too heavy for a child because my book is for kids 6 and under. So it's
Right.
only a pound and a little bit. So he's slightly weighted for those children.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's like a
mm,
pressure thing,
yeah,
especially it's huge with autistic children and autistic
mm,
adults
yeah,
because they like that pressure on them. It makes them feel safer.
yes.
And actually, there's like a lot of scientific study about
Mm,
that from some great scientists. So you meet Lisa. Now,
mhm.
the people out there that watch us, we have a lot of Americans, so they think that we all live like you're next door to me. But so where are you in Canada right now?
I am at the most easterly point of North America. I'm in St. John's, Newfoundland.
St. John, thus the accent. They always make fun of us that we have an accent, and we really don't.
Oh,
I don't know
I
what
don't
they're
think
talking about.
I
Abu.
don't think I have an accent.
But you have a little bit of like an Irish
Mhm.
brogue, and that's very
Yeah.
popular well,
Yes.
not popular, it's in Newfoundland. So
Yes.
is there a lot of Irish connections from your
Mhm.
family to Newfoundland?
Absolutely is. My family are not my grandmother, but my great grandmother and grandfather came from Ireland.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And your
That's
last name
amazing.
is
Sullivan.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
So Lisa lives near us. Like
Yes.
we are about a 2.5 hour drive.
Mhm.
You would be a 400-hour drive. So how do you connect with Lisa? Now, Lisa is amazing. She has a reach that goes farther than far because
Yeah.
she has made so many connections with just such amazing people. A lot of them we've
Mm,
had on Soaring Profits, just
yeah.
because of how great they are. But how do you meet someone like that? And
Yeah.
why would you publish a book 400 hours away from you? Man,
That is an
there's
approximation.
there's
For you
publishers near you.
geography folks out there, it's just an approximation of 400 hours.
Yeah.
Could, give or take plus minus 5 hours, but close to 400 hours.
Close.
Seems ballpark.
Yeah.
I did the
Yeah.
math. I did the
We
math.
like
This
to be
is
factual
scientific.
here on Soaring
We
Profits.
do. Yeah. There are people
Yeah.
fact checking us as we speak.
Oh
Yeah.
goodness.
But no,
Well,
honestly, like because there are publishers like in your community that so what brings you to Lisa? What does she provide? And how did that all come to be?
great. As I was scrolling through Facebook, I also got because I had to get my sister to do all of this because I couldn't read what was on the screen, so I just tell her to look this up, look that up. So she was quite good for me. Um, but I looked up editors and publishers for children's books, and I actually interviewed, I think, 9 of them. And surprisingly, these people don't want to talk to you face to face. They want to just email. And one lady said, "Well, we're all introverted." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm not." I'd like to speak to people, see people, get to know people. And then I had another lady who had said to me, because I couldn't see to type, so what I typed probably wasn't, really proper English because I was ill at the time with the bleed and trying to recover. And she said, "Are you French Canadian? Because your English is not very good." So I was like, "Oh my goodness." So anyway, I didn't hire these people, but
Yeah, that's a tough pitch when you lead with, "Do you speak the language
Yeah.
you're typing?"
Yeah,
I can see that being
I'm
problematic.
not sure you could write a book if you have broken English. I'm
Yeah.
not sure how that'll work. Okay, so
So,
that was a no.
yeah, so I had, I think, 9 people that I had interviewed, and if they didn't want to get online with me and speak, because I had the head injury, I couldn't type, and I couldn't expect my sister to be at my beck and call each time I needed to speak to somebody. So I always would request that they would do a video. And some of them didn't want to. They would just turn off their video or whatever, which was okay. But then a friend of mine, Helena, her name is, we knew each other from a course that we had done previously, a professional development course. So she introduced me to Lisa. And when I spoke with her, she was so motherly and kind and open. I mean, she's such a beautiful person. And made you feel
Lisa has
welcome.
never ceased to amaze us in our aspects.
No.
She always comes
Yeah.
through in such a good way, and she's likely out there somewhere in the world right now watching us.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
is. She's one of our original profiteers. Has been one of the
Yeah.
originals and supported us 100%. And when
Yeah.
she brought you to our attention, obviously,
Mm.
we want to showcase fantastic people's stories. And when we see someone like yourself that's overcoming the odds,
Mm.
doing amazing things with what you're bringing now and your products and the book, it's a great success story. So how do folks get in touch with you? You've created a website, you have your story, you're in production of your next one. How do people get in touch with you, and what's next?
What's next? The second book is next, so that's being illustrated. Lisa is going to edit that for me and publish it. And then the third book will be about my niece, as I said. So in each story, I wrote them with, as a mom, when you come home after a 12-hour day, you're trying to read the books to the child before they go to sleep.
Yeah.
And some of the books are really long. And when I thought he was asleep, my son, I would be like trying to skip a few pages to get to the end, and he'd be like, "No, you missed some pages." I'm like, "Oh my god!" So I wrote the book with the intention of it not being long, but having a little bit of a meaning to the reader. So it's good for the parent to be able to read to the child, but for it not to be long. So it's a win-win for everybody. And what was the rest of
You gotta
the
set those
question?
firm boundaries off the hop. It's one book, and we know which one we're getting tonight. We love it. It's our go-to. I love it.
It's funny you say that. My kid's favorite book was this book, and it was all words. Like, it was just the most word. It had beautiful pictures, but it was all words. So I made up a story, and I just pretended to read this book based on the pictures, and it was a nice short story. And I flipped through it. It wasn't until they were much older that they're like, "It's not even about that." So you're
Funny you say that. My
absolutely
father did the
right.
exact same thing, and still to this day, it was like a running joke in our family that every night you'd read this book and it was a different story. Whatever Dad was coming up with that day, it's like,
That's
Yeah.
I don't
it's
remember
not what it was yesterday.
No,
I
the
love
bear's name was Bill. So Monty and Me
Become best friends. is the
become
first
best
one.
friends. That was the
Yeah.
second part I was thinking of. So
Yeah.
tell us about Monty and Me become best friends. What it is about, and what was the inspiration behind it?
So I just came up with the idea when I was walking my dog that day. But it's about a little girl and her dog and how they become best friends. Some kids are naturally just afraid of animals, and they can help you so much. So my hope is that you know, in reading the book, that they won't be afraid and that they'll see that they can be best friends and that they can actually help you. They're very, very valuable.
So it's Monty is the
Monty is
dog?
the dog. Yeah.
And
And
so
Lucy.
what does Monty do in the book?
In this first book, it's
Yeah.
just the introduction of the child with the dog. So she goes to the breeder and gets the dog. And
Don't give away the spicy parts, just an overview.
yeah. So yeah.
So all
that's what-
dog books have sad endings. I hope yours doesn't have a sad ending because I'm
Well,
tired of
do
crying at dogs.
yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do
So
it,
the
please
se-
don't.
No.
No, I
The
don't want to
second
hear
book,
like
yeah.
the 7th book and, you know, we're burying Monty. Like, we're not doing that. I got an old boy at home, an old golden, and it breaks my heart
Yeah.
even imagining that. So we can't have that.
No.
Terrible.
No.
Mhm.
So the second book is about Lucy and Monty go to the park, and she's afraid of lightning and the thunder, which happens. But as a dog, he is naturally as well. So he helps her through the fears, which is a really pretty little book. And the third book then is about my niece. So it'll be about the dog going to the children's hospital and helping the children at the hospital and helping her through her illness. So that's the third one I'm writing now.
Wow.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's such a
Yeah.
great story.
So you're using your actual niece in the story?
Absolutely. I had a discussion with her mom and dad and her as well. And she's all excited because, well, her hair is all short now because she had chemo. But she's
God
very
bless her.
excited, wondering what she's going to look like in this book. So, yeah, it's really,
So
really cool.
can you tell us a little bit about her story, like her journey?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She, they were away for their ninth birthday at a hotel. And when they came home, we were, you know, it's her and her brother, they're a twin. So I went to visit them to give them their gifts and stuff like that. And I asked them how their weekend was. And then my sister-in-law had said that it was okay, but she had a migraine. And I'm like, okay, she's 9. She shouldn't have a migraine.
That's
So
not
my
a thing,
brother
yeah.
was like, okay, what's going on? So this was over the Easter holiday. So then she went to school Monday and Tuesday. And Tuesday she called home with a headache, crying. And then they just let it go because it could have been just anything, just being back from the holidays and overtired or whatnot. And the following week, she had a headache again and was crying to come home. And my brother took her straight to the children's hospital. And they did a CAT scan, and that showed that the brain tumor. So
Wow.
they caught it very early. She did end up having radiation and chemo, and she was in and out of the hospital for the last year. So, but she's doing well now, and all of her scans are free, cancer free. So we're all very happy about
God
that.
bless her.
I'm
That's
so happy for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, as a parent yourself, you
Mm.
cannot even begin to fathom what that would be like. And
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful thing that you're doing, and a very special
Thank you.
family thing to be able to include
Yeah.
her in this.
Yeah.
And the project that you've already started to make her one of the characters and let that be a
Yeah.
journey. That's a really beautiful thing to be able to pass on to her. Like, that's a very
Yes.
genuine,
Yeah.
loving family expression of
Yeah.
love. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank
no, we
you.
talk a lot about legacies and
Mm.
leaving a legacy. And we had a great guy on here that wrote books just so he could tell the story of his father and family members and then of himself, so he could leave that legacy so that when he passed on, there would still be stories about it. And I just think it's beautiful that you're celebrating your niece, because I can't imagine how much joy and happiness and how much recovery is in just seeing yourself in a book. She must be so elated.
She's very excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so do you do book tours, or like, because I know Lisa does some book tours, but you're, like I said, 5,000 miles away from her.
Yes.
And I just did the math again. It was 5,000 miles. Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah. So I think I will be starting the book tours after the new year. That's when I had planned on doing that, after I had the second book. And but I am you know, attending vendor markets and stuff around my hometown.
Beautiful.
Nice.
So Brenda, how do people get in touch with you? How do they purchase the book? where do they go to see the movie when this launches? We did have one of the comments here from an actual very established producer in the movie industry. She did say, "I foresee movies," so that might be something to kind of follow up here. It sounds like an interesting aspect.
She's actually made movies, so
Janice of Tausi
I was gonna
Brains, for
say,
sure.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to speak to you, Tausi.
There you go.
Yeah. So my books are available on Amazon and at the chapters, but the local chapters here in Newfoundland. So as they start selling there, they'll be selling elsewhere.
Love it.
And I have a website. It's Monty and Me. I think I have to contact Lisa to see where that is.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's
and
in
the QR code up there will take you also to your links, and you're on Amazon. Now, there are a lot of quite a lot of people want to talk about Monty and Me, so you have to look at Monty and Me Become Friends. You have to put the whole thing if you want to find her book.
There's a few Montys apparently.
Yeah,
there are a few Montys. Yeah, it's Monty and Me Become Best Friends, and in the back of the book, I have my own website. It's www.brendasullivan.ca. Yeah. And actually, there's some activities in that there for the children on that site as well.
I love it.
Well, I love that you came on like mid-show
and killed it. And killed it. You came in here. We were floundering. You picked us up by our bootstraps and like, boys, listen, I got this. I appreciate you. That was fantastic.
Sit back now. I'm going to tell you a story about a woman named Brenda.
Like a real East Coaster would.
Yeah.
A real blood-curdling story with a little brogue about you. I love it. Brenda, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again, profiteers out there, you could have that book in your hot little hands by probably tomorrow at this time. Get on Amazon, check it out. Check out her website. You're going to support a fantastic female entrepreneur starting a new phase and chapter in her life. And you're supporting a young lady who, in the next couple episodes of this book here, who's had an uphill battle, right? For the price of this book, this is an opportunity to really do something beautiful for a beautiful family and a couple really cool Canadians. A little Irish to you too, so that's all right. Brenda, I want to thank you so much for joining us. From me, as always, let's make some money together, folks.
Yes, Brenda, you know what? You have a very inspiring story. I could not imagine hitting my head, losing people in your life, going through, like you said, a divorce, which I've gone through myself, and it's not an easy thing to do. And then you take it upon yourself to write a book, and then you write about your niece. I think it's a beautiful story. I love what you're doing. I think you should keep it up. And yes, profiteers out there, if you don't go out and buy this book, you'll get the finger of shame from Daddy James.
Daddy James.
No, seriously. I really think that we should start supporting each other. We want good content like this. We want good, wholesome books back in our community. And this is a good, wholesome book. And I think you all out there should get a book. That.
Did it again.
Mark Reed
did it again.
Did it again. He's been so last week he took over our channel. This week apparently he's broken into our video. So we have to get on Sia. Sia, we're going to need your help. We need a little bit better security. We're going to tighten that green room up. See,
how did he get out? That's what I want to know. We had him locked down in there.
We didn't get a chance to warn you. We warned everyone before this show. We got this Matt Damon character, Mark Reed. He's all right. He lives in Japan. I don't know. But we never have time for him. He's always in the green room waiting. And then we mean to bring him on, but then we run out of time because we have great guests like Brenda, and I can't stop talking to her. And so we can't have like a 4-hour show and bring on Mark. And I think sometimes he gets a little upset. Anyway, profiteers out there, I got to go deal with a problem in the green room. I hope to see you soon. I love you all. We have so many great things. Pat and I have been in meetings like the last couple of weeks. I can't wait to announce some of this amazing stuff, but I'm not going to.
You get a car.
You get a car. You get a car. I love you all. Let's heal our minds, bodies, and souls together. Now,
Brenda, This is
We
one of
didn't
the things
prep you at all, and I'm so sorry.
we always stick our guest with the last word. So you get to close out the show your way, inspirational quote. What do you want to leave the people of Soaring Profits and all the profiteers out there with?
Just be kind.
How do you
can't get better than that?
Nailed it.
Thank you all.